In Israel. Welcome to Voices of Our Fathers. Tonight's subject is protocol. And right now I'm going to introduce my guest. To my right is...
I am Elder Shadaniah Ben Yisrael. Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom.
Shalom. I am Elder Aharon Ben Israel. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, Elder.
And as I stated before, the name of this program is Protocol. And protocol simply means or is the designation of order in which things flow. So the protocol in which we are talking about tonight is how the Father sets up the way in which he wants his order or things in such order to introduce his plan for the world, simply. So protocol is very important. It's not a thing of us just getting out, picking up the Bible, picking up the book, opening it, and thinking now you're qualified to teach. That's why so many different religions and interpretations, because we don't understand protocol.
Right.
It was set up a certain way so that there wouldn't be confusion as the confusion you have today. You have all the different denominations and different religions, but all the different denominations and different religions come out of the same book. Therefore, you are witnessing the beginnings and the origins of a lie, because everybody don't have the truth. So never let anybody tell you, well, everybody has a little bit of the truth. And as far as I'm concerned, a little bit of the truth is still a lie.
Yep.
Okay?
That's right.
So you don't concentrate on, well, they got a little bit of truth, they got a little bit. You trying to get the whole truth. Okay? So protocol, for the most part, is the way in which things are set up. Though there's an order in which we are to follow, coming down through the ages to get us to the present day. So either elder that wants to start, let them start on protocol.
Well, really, the best way I see to start this is turn to Revelation.
Revelation.
Chapter 1. And it's laid out quite explicitly here. And when we go backwards, you'll see that this has not changed.
Ain't changed, Elder. It has not changed. Huh?
No, it has not changed. Let's start at Revelation 1 and verse 1. We there? It says, the revelation of Yehoshua HaMashiach, which Elohim gave him to show his servants things which must shortly take place. And he sent and signified it by his angel to his servant John, who bore witness, or Yahuchanan, who bore witness to the word of Elohim and to the testimony of Yehoshua HaMashiach, to all things that he saw. Now, let's break that down. It says the revelation of Yehoshua HaMashiach, who you incorrectly call Jesus. It says he had a revelation. And it says what? He got it from who? The Father. To show who? To his servants. And he sent and signified how? By his angels.
Exactly.
To the servant.
He sent.
Now, this is how this breaks down. The Father give it to the Son. The son give it to the angel. The angel give it to the Israelite to give to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to stop that right there.
That is
because now we're going backwards so that you can see how this protocol takes place and how it has not changed.
When you say that again, Elder, when you say that again, so that that will burn in the memory of everyone, not only in the sight but the sound of this broadcast. Can you say that again?
Right. It has not changed. The Father give it to the Son give it to the angel give it to the Israelite to give to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam.
Thank you. Beautiful.
It has not changed.
That's
Turn to Exodus.
Exodus.
What is it? The 7th chapter. Is it Exodus, the 7th
That
chapter?
was beautiful, Elder.
Okay. No, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go to Exodus, the 3rd chapter.
Number 3. Okay.
Because here, remember now, the children of Israel were in captivity, and they cried out to the Father. Here is where the Father sent to start to bring them out of captivity. Because it's important that you understand who Israel is in this relationship. Because they have a contract with the Father to do a job. Remember what I said. Correct. That's right. We're going to get to that. But we're going to start at 3. Because here, 3 and 1.
3 and 1.
It says, now Moshe was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the back of the desert and came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And the angel of Yahweh appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of the bush. Stop. Remember now what we read back in Revelation.
Okay, right.
Because it's important that you understand this.
Right.
Now notice that the angel came to Moshe. If you know the story, we won't go back yet. But we're going to speak about it a little bit. Moses, he was brought up in Egypt. And he fled Egypt because he killed an Egyptian and buried him in the sand.
Right.
Moshe was a Levite.
Okay.
He was born out of the tribe of Levi.
Right.
And he knew he was not an Egyptian. He looked over, that's why he killed the Egyptian, because he saw the plight of his people. But he had to flee at this time.
Okay.
Well, we understand that the Father, during this period, was cleaning Moshe up, getting him prepared. Because the first 40 years he spent in Egypt.
Okay.
And the next 40 years he spent in Midian.
That's right.
The Father cleaning him up
Right.
so that to give him a job.
That's right.
Right. Now the angel appeared to him. Right? So now, it says, so he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. Then Moshe said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn. So when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to look, Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, here I am. Then he said, do not draw near this place. take your sandals off your feet, for this place where you stand is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Yitzchak, and the Elohim of Yaakov. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the oppression of my people who are in Egypt, and have heard their cries because of their taskmasters. For I know their sorrow. So I have come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians, and to bring them up from the land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hevitites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now, therefore, and I will send you to Pharaoh, that you may bring my people, the children of Israel, out of the land of Egypt. Now, notice what happened here. When the angel came, and spoke to Moses and told him, go, I want you to go and bring my people Israel out. At this particular time, Israel had been chosen. Israel had been chosen all the way from the beginning, but that's another lesson. But we know that these are the descendants of Abraham. Because when you read about Abraham, it said what? Abraham was what? The father of many nations. And out of him would come what? Kings and princes and whatever. His descendants would be as the stars. Remember when Israel went into Egypt, there was what? 70 souls. And when they come out, it was a number that you really could not number. Because remember, they only numbered the men. They didn't number the women and the children that came out with them. But anyway, here is how did the protocol go? The angel brought it to Moshe. Moshe now is going to Pharaoh to tell Pharaoh to let the children of Israel go. That's what is happening here. Remember, we're talking about the protocol. Remember what we read back in Revelation. It does not change. The protocol has not changed. This is the beginning. Go ahead.
You want to know just how much the protocol hasn't changed?
Yeah.
I got a surprise. This is what I'm going to do. We don't read from this.
Right.
This is a Quran.
Right.
All right, now, listen. I'm going to show you something that's in the Quran.
Oh, we know.
All right? About protocol. All right? Now, as I say, we don't read from the Quran, but I was surprised to find this in the Quran.
Of course. Well, you at Surah 22.
Surah, hold on, let me see, because I wrote this down. It was Surah, let me see. Surah, I believe this to be 30.
Is that 30? Is you 22?
I got another one for it, though.
Okay.
I got two.
Okay.
But it says in 27, it says, and we granted him Yitzchak, Yaakov, and called the prophethood and the book to remain in his seed. And we gave him his reward in this world, and in the hereafter he will be most surely be among the good. Now this is what Muhammad thought about the children of Israel.
Right.
In the Quran.
Right.
All right? It's another passage. It says, and we gave Abraham, Yitzchak, no, I'm sorry, I already read that one. It says, we did aforetime grant to the children of Israel the book, the power of command and prophethood.
Right.
We gave them for sustenance things good and pure, and we favored them above the nations.
Of course.
Okay? And another passage said, the children of Israel called to mind the special favor which I bestowed unto you, and that I preferred you to all others for my message, or to be my teacher.
Right.
Now that says Sarah 11 and 47.
Okay.
So, as I said before, that protocol has reached all the way unto the pages of the Quran.
Right.
And I was really surprised to see it in there.
It don't change.
No, it don't change. So, I mean, when we talk about protocol and how the order in which things are set up, these are the things that you must honor with all the fervent with the excitement of one that's just learning something new and exciting. You have to have that same zest or that same charge as when you indulge in anything else. You have to have this thing in its proper place.
Yeah.
That protocol has to be there, and you have to have it like it have to have it before anything, so things won't get out of order. Because if you don't, you may fall prey to putting some out of context.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to look at it with that zeal. You know, like, oh yeah, the protocol. Oh yeah, Yisrael comes first. When it comes down to us getting that message, Yisrael was put there to give me my message first.
Right.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. I have to follow protocol. I can't put the letters of Paul out of context, where in fact Yisrael was put into motion first.
That's right.
That the Father chose Yisrael to be the messenger first.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And protocol has to be looked at with that zeal,
Right.
with that excitement. Like, yeah, it's Yisrael. See, a lot of us think that because, and I'm talking about black people now, or people they call black people, because when you read this Bible, you think you're reading about somebody else.
Right.
But it has a different appeal when you learn that you're reading about your own people and yourself.
It is
Right.
different.
They
Okay.
don't see themselves in
Exactly.
here.
They don't. And that's
They
the
don't
problem.
understand who they are.
Right.
See, I've always said that our greatest downfall is not knowing who we are. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know your present, and you cannot determine your future. Because you don't know your past. You see what I'm saying? It all follows. Just like Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter here. It talks about, it says, a chosen people. He's talking about Israel. Why? Because the covenant, see, here's another thing, people, that you don't understand. The only covenant ever made was only made with the children of Israel. It was not made with anybody. It was not made with the church.
No.
If the church is not Israel, it wasn't made with
Right,
them.
right, right.
And that's the thing you do not understand.
Right.
They're not coming back to get no church unless it's Israel.
Right.
You're not part of no new covenant or any covenant unless you join yourself to Israel. Period.
That's right. That's right, Elder.
And if Israel don't teach you, you don't know anything. And that's proof today by how you're going. You're talking about communion on the first Sunday. You're talking about Easter Sunday. You're talking about Christmas. And the Father gave you laws, statutes, and judgments. He gave you Passover, Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Weeks, the memorial blowing of the trumpets. You know, atonement,
That's right. Sure did.
tabernacles, great days. You don't know anything about it.
No,
He
you
gave you a dietary law.
Right.
What you can eat and what you can't eat. How you supposed to treat your brother. How you supposed to treat other. That's what the covenant is. And you don't even know anything about it.
That's right.
Along with the perfect part of the Messiah himself. And you don't even understand how he fits to make that covenant perfect.
You know, that was one of the reasons that that struck me, and when I read this years ago in the Quran, and I just want to point out again that we don't read from the Quran. I just want to make sure, because people sometimes see the show and they be like, "Are you guys Muslim?" No, we're not. We're the children of Israel.
Right.
We read from what's called the Scriptures, the Holy Bible.
Right.
But years ago, I found it in the Quran because, you know, I do a lot of research. And I had to bring that out because it had amazed me that it had influenced the Nation of Islam or the Muslim in the time of Muhammad.
Right.
Because he was greatly influenced by the children of Israel.
Right.
Because he even know that they were the Father's people, or still is the Father's people. And I'm reaching out, and I remember I showed those passages to a brother that was a Muslim, and he was amazed the way I broke it down, that by him being Yisrael,
Right.
that was inclusive of him. You're reading about a man, Muhammad, what he was telling his people about you. And the man was just devastated. He said, "Man, I have never heard anybody break that thing down to me the way you just did." And his whole outlook, he told me, had changed from that point on. But it's to show you just how we get engulfed in, you know, different teachings, and we can't come out because of the lie that's been strapped on to different things and been attached to different things. So that's why protocol is important too, because it puts things back in order.
Right.
And that order is the only thing that will keep you abreast of the truth. Go to let me see. Go to Matthew 15. Matthew 15. And as I said before, you got to get excited about protocol. Because once you understand protocol and the order in which things are broken down, you can't do anything but get excited, because now that's your key. That's your key. Just like when you look at what they call the Old Testament as opposed to what they call the New Testament. If you don't understand that there was no what we call New Testament in the time of the Messiah, in the times of the apostles, then you don't understand protocol and how the readings in which you are to use and how to use them. Because we use them out of context nowadays. We actually use in the New Testament against what's called the Old. You can't do that.
You can't do it at all.
That's out of order.
That's
not only that, you don't understand that the new covenant is still the old covenant.
Right.
With the addition of the Messiah in the place.
Right.
Of the sacrificial law.
That's insane.
And the setting aside of judgment until he comes. That's, you don't understand.
I'm gonna read it. Y'all in Matthew 15?
Correct.
Matthew 15:21. Then Yahushua went from there and departed into the borders of Tyre and Sidon. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same borders, and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O master, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a demon. But he answered her not a word. Okay? And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away, for she cried after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. A lot of people hate to read that.
I know they do.
They don't want to deal with that.
No.
But the Messiah said that. Because the Messiah didn't deal with anybody else but the children of Israel.
Correct.
That's protocol.
That's it.
That's order.
Beautiful.
See what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And the reason why he only dealt with Israel was because he came to Israel to make Israel hold up to the responsibility that they had with the Father, with the contract that was deemed in the beginning.
That's right. That's beautiful.
For them to carry the word to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam.
That's beautiful.
Period.
Not,
That was it.
That's beautiful.
not to cut you off, but understand when we finish reading down, you're going to see that this lady understood protocol.
Of course.
And say, 25, then came she and worshiped him, saying, Master, help me. But he answered and said, It is not right to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. 27, and she said, Truth, master, yet the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table.
Correct.
She understands protocol.
Of course she do.
She did.
And she knew
understood.
that he was the only one that could remove that uncleanliness.
Sure.
Right.
Then Yahushua answered and said unto the old woman, Great is thy faith, but be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made well from the very hour.
Right. Turn to Amos. Let's go backwards. I'm going to read something to you. Amos, the 3rd chapter. Just in case you don't understand again. Now, this is really what people they don't want to read this. And I've noticed that they've all often skipped over this. Amos 3, and we're going to start at verse 1.
Okay.
It says, Hear this word that Yahweh has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt. Remember, he sent Moshe to Egypt to bring us out. Listen to this. He said, You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities. Only you, Israel. That's why you in this predicament.
Right.
Because you refuse to honor the contract that you signed with the Father. Now, just because you wasn't there, your forefathers answered for you.
Sure
If
did.
you want to go back, we're going to read that.
That's right.
If you want to,
That's right.
if you don't understand that you have a job to do, your job is to deliver this word to the rest of the sons and daughters of Adam.
Elder, can I give them a visual
Sure.
of what you're saying?
Go right ahead.
Even though we are Israel and we broke the contract over and over and over again,
Right.
guess what, viewing audience? Yah still holds the contract in his hand.
Yep.
And he has not torn it up yet.
No.
Because that contract and our responsibility in that contract has not gone away.
No,
it
it
is
hasn't.
still exactly where it was in the first place that he established this contract, and we agreed and signed it with our very lips,
Yes, we did.
saying we will do all that you have what? Given us this day.
Yeah.
We will do it all. we don't want to hear anymore because we're afraid we're going to die. But we'll do all that you say.
Right.
Yah still holds that contract.
Yes,
you see,
he
he hasn't
does.
broken it. And he's still holding us liable to the responsibility of that contract.
Yes, he is.
I just want to say that.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, he does.
Exactly.
Yeah, so as we see that the protocol starts with Yah
Yes,
and comes down to
Exactly.
the Son,
Exactly.
then to Israel. Okay?
Let me say something before you go there. Everything that we've said on this show, to me, is so beautiful because it's all hitting the mark. And unless you understand the real protocol and understand the importance of it, you can't feel and understand the feeling of the good feeling that you get from knowing and understanding this. When we look, first of all, let's understand this. In the book of Malachi, in the 3rd chapter, and the 6th verse, it says, for I am Yahweh. And it said, I do not change.
Right.
First of all, I just simply, viewing artists, want you to understand that Yah don't change. So ain't no change in him. Now, let's look at creation. When we see creation, we see the establishment or the making of the world as we know it. But let's kind of like think about pre-creation. Most of us don't realize that once the Father was having a conversation with Ezra, in the book of 2nd Ezra, Yah, the Father, states to Ezra that he was going to establish, and before he even established the world itself, he established and he said to Ezra, for this is Israel's portion. Now, at that time, we know that there was no such thing as Israel. And we also know at that time, pre-creation, there was no such thing as man. Man didn't even exist. The sun, the moon, the stars didn't even exist. But the Father told Ezra that before he even created the world, that when he did create the world, he created the world for the very purpose for Israel to rule and dominate this world. Israel was created and established by the Father to not only inherit the earth, but to be the head of all that which is on the earth. That is what he deemed it to be, and that is the way ultimately it is going to be. You can't change that. I don't care who you are. I don't care what minister you are, what church you teach at or preach at. I don't care what students you are. You can't change Yah's word. He does not change, and this is his purpose, and he does whatever he wishes to do. You can't challenge that because you don't know enough to challenge that. That's a fact. This earth was created for the establishment of his people and his covenant, which is Israel. You can't change it. You cannot change that, no matter how many times you try to change it. And no matter how much you talk about Yehoshua was coming, or you call Jesus the Christ, no matter how much you talk about his coming and living and dying, he didn't come here to change that. He didn't come here to change any of Yah's rules or his plan. He came to go along with the flow. That's why, because in reading that, you're talking about Yehoshua. He understood what was going on. Even this lady understood what was going on.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he didn't come here to change that. And don't try to use his coming and dying to try to change what the Father has already set down to be forthcoming, as well as what has happened already. Don't try to change it because you can't. So and that is important. That is very, very important. And we're going to get into who we are and how we fit in this thing. Like Kazakia was saying, you have the Father, you have Israel, and you have Yehoshua.
Right.
I mean, these are primarily the three main characters of the scriptures. The Father, the firstborn son, which is Israel, and I'm listing them in order of appearance here. Because in order of appearance, Israel was the son before what? Before Yehoshua was.
Yeah.
But we know in reality he was really the son before, but
Right.
you don't see it written like that. But the Father, Yahweh, then you have Israel, the firstborn son, and then you have the first begotten son, Yehoshua, which is talked about in Hebrews.
Right.
So that is the order, or the main characters of this scripture. The Father is the ruler of all and understands all. The firstborn son, Israel, was to be the teachers of the world.
That's right.
And the first begotten son was to be like the savior of the world.
Right.
So his main function was saving. Our main function is teaching.
Right.
Right, so, as you said, Elder, when you look at it in order, you have the Father, you have the Son, you have Israel, and then you have the Gentile.
Right.
So, I want to touch a little bit on the first one, which is the Father. First and foremost, go to Genesis, first chapter.
Genesis 1. All right.
Genesis 1 and 1. Okay? And this is where it all starts. No matter if you are a historian, no matter if you are a scholar outside of the scriptures, no matter what avenue in which you travel for your quest for knowledge, this is where it all begins for all mankind.
Right. That's a fact.
In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. Okay? And the earth was without form and void, and the darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the spirit of Yah, or Elohim, moved upon the face of the waters. And Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Now, from this point right here, when he said, "Let there be light," and there was light, that means every spoken word that proceeded out of the mouth of Yah is authority.
Authority. Absolutely. That is correct.
I mean, every word
That's right.
from this point on
Right.
is in authority.
Right.
When you read, "and God said,"
Right.
that's the same power and influence that it has right here in the third verse. And God said, or Yah, and Elohim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Because he spoke it, and it was so.
Right. Now this is very important. Viewing audience, this is very important. We have the Father. I'm just going to break down what you just said a little more so that people will understand this. The Father is the ultimate authority. This world was created by Yah. Everything that goes on in this world, the Father knows about it. He knows about it. He knows of it. He knows it before it even happens. There is nothing that goes on in this world that Yah does not know about. He is a part of everything that is in this world or that happens in this world. However, he is not behind everything that does happen. Because some things, Satan is behind it. But Yah is not behind it. But Yah knows about it. And he has the authority and the power to change it if he wishes. If it goes through and it's not the Father doing it, then obviously it was his will. To make it a little bit more simple in what Kazakiel just said. Yah is in full control. In the creation, every time, like Kazakiel said, it said, and God said, remember, that is a command that's given.
Yeah.
That's a command that's given. It's not Yah doing it, it's Yah giving a command. The Father, who is Yah, the Son, who is Yahoshua. The scripture definitely tells us that Yahoshua was the one who created the entire universe. He was the one that did all of the work. So the Father was in a position of giving a command, and Yah said, that command that flowed from the Father's mouth was given to the Son, and the Son did it. The Father said, do it, and there light, and there was light. He called light. There was darkness. He called night day. The sun and the moon was all created. When these things were created, it was the Son doing the creation. But it was a command given by the Father to the Son to create. It didn't just hocus pocus pop up. And that's the point I'm trying to make here. It was not the Father just saying, be, and then it just popped up. It was a command given from the Father to the Son to do it. And when he gave the command by his word, it was what? Done. So you understand? There's a play here on words here. By his word, given us a command, it was done. And by his word, which is Yehoshua, it was done. Now do you understand? This is a command. Every time it says, and God said, it was a command given to his Son to create. Let us make man. The Father is giving the command to the Son, giving him the authority, the command to establish a man in their image. So it's not just, he just said, man pop up, and he just popped up, or the sun and the moon just come out of nowhere, and there it is. No. It was a command given, and the Son was the one doing the work. Now, other people say there were others involved. Could be, could not be. Probably. But the Son was the one. The scripture says that Yehoshua, by his hand, was the foundation of the whole earth laid, or the world laid. So that meant that he was given, he was told what to do by his Father, which is our Father. And he did, exactly, and he did it because he had the most powerful authority that ever has been or ever will be to do it. And that's, I just want to break that down. It wasn't just like it was just popped up. It was done. It was made by hand. You made by hand.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And I also want to point out here in the second chapter of Genesis, to make that, to give more of an emphasis on how the Father worked. And see, when we read in Genesis 1, we say, and let there be light, and there was light, we take that for granted.
Of course we do.
We don't even think about, and he said, and it says, and God said, let there light and be light, and there was light. Because he spoke it, and it was so. Not to take away from what you just said, but he spoke it, and it was so. Because before he said that, there was no light like that. You see what I'm saying? Now, when you go to Genesis, the second chapter, in the 15th verse, it says, and Elohim took the man, and this we're talking about when he created man. After he created man, took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to till it and to keep it. And Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die. That's the premise in which the law is based upon.
Okay? That is a law. See, what people don't understand, when the Father spoke that, he established the law of death. Because before then there was no death. But the actual execution did not occur until when? Adam sinned.
Right.
Then death came into the world.
Exactly.
But the law of death was already there because the Father established it.
But right here in 16, it says, and Elohim commanded the man,
Yeah.
saying, that's when it's established.
Yep.
That's the same as when you read, and Yahweh told Moshe to tell the children of Israel to do or not to do.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? And that's where we get mixed up at, because that's protocol.
Yes.
That's the head telling the universe, do, don't do.
Right. Yep.
Stop, go.
Yep.
Left, right. This is the Most High.
Exactly.
But we don't understand, because, first of all, one crime and travesty is that the Father's name was taken out. So we say, and God said.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you think, because you see God everywhere.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? On your money, on some publication, on everything. But who is God?
Right.
God could be any energy.
Right.
That's a God.
Right.
But right here, this is the creator of the universe.
Right. And he got a name.
Right.
Anything.
Right.
So that's why that's a crime and a travesty. That's why this assault that they put on our spirit and our understanding is going to be dealt with. That's part of in the law, they tell you not to take away from or not to add to.
Right. Well, see, that's why the Israelite, when you say God, he says, what God?
That's right, and
What's
that's what
his
we
name?
do. But Christians don't do that. They say when they say God, they're only talking about the Father. But we know that in reality, a God, like you said, mentioned that a God could be any energy, but a God could be anything.
That's
right.
A God could be this pen.
Right.
A God could be your car.
Right.
You can make your God. You can make your car a God. You can make your house a God. Because all you have to do is center your very life around whatever it may be.
Correct.
And if you do that, that's your God.
That's why the Gentile removed his name so that you can fill in the blank.
Yeah.
So you can fill in the blank.
Right.
You can
That's
put
bad.
your God right there.
Yeah, whatever suits your fancy.
That's right. Whatever
Right.
God that you deem as your head,
Right. Whatever
you fill in the blank.
whatever you holding on to, whatever you worship, whatever wood and stone, whatever you want to call.
Right.
Right.
But see, that's the reason why we're in trouble now. And that is because the Gentile is where we got the term God from.
Right.
Right.
You see? And the Gentile was not in a position to teach us anything.
No.
Because it was not ordained, or was it established or sanctified, or were they ever sanctified to teach us anything. See, now, and because of that, that's a classical example of protocol being violated.
Right.
And because protocol was violated, because it was never given to Gentiles to be the teachers of the world, not of Yah's word, because they weren't given his word.
No, they weren't.
Because they taught us, in this slavery thing here, because they taught us, you have people who were considered to be the students teaching the teachers.
That's right.
Because we were the teachers.
Right.
Now, when you have a student teaching the teacher in his own classroom, you're going to have confusion.
Chaos.
And you're going to have chaos, and you have problems. Why? Because the student don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
He's going to put in his own lick about this or whatever, and he's going to foil it up.
Right.
He's going to mess it completely screw it up. And that's why we as a people in this country are completely confused and turned around, because what we have, our understanding of church, our understanding of the Father, our understanding of what is holy, is all what? It's all mixed up because we got it from him.
Right.
And don't say you didn't get it from him, because he's the one that taught our forefathers what they know about God, and about Sunday school, and about Jesus, and about church. We came over here on a ship called Jesus.
That's right.
So, That's why we're confused now, because order has been violated. Protocol has been violated. And that's the reason why. So we have to straighten this thing out.
Right. Turn to Acts the 10th chapter. Since we all like to dabble in the New Testament. Acts the 10th chapter, verse 1. It says, there was a centurion, a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of what was called the Italian regiment, or some people say the Italian band is in their book. But notice, Italian, Gentile.
Exactly.
Huh?
Descendant of Elisha.
Right. This is a Gentile here.
Right.
That we're talking about. It says a devout man and one who feared Elohim with all his household. This man knew Elohim.
Okay.
It says, who gave alms generously to the people and prayed to Elohim always. About the 9th hour of the day, he saw clearly in a vision an angel of Elohim coming and saying to him, Cornelius. Now remember what we read in Revelation. Notice so far we've got what? The angel coming to Cornelius. Huh?
To a Gentile.
Right, to a Gentile. But let's continue to read. It says, and when he observed him, he was afraid and said, what is it, Lord or Master? So he said to him, your prayers and your alms have come up for a memorial before Elohim. Now send men to Joppa and send for Simon, whose surname is Peter or Kepha. He is lodging with Simon a tanner, whose house is by the sea. He will tell you what you must do. Now, notice what the angel told the Gentile to do. He told him to send for the Israelite.
That's right. That's right, Elton.
Now remember, the angel could have very well told him what to do, but that was out of order.
Right. Out of order.
He told him to send for Peter, the Israelite. And the Israelite would tell him what to do, because that's the protocol.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Then it says, and when the angel who spoke to him had departed, Cornelius called 2 of his household servants and a devout soldier from among those who waited on him continuously. So when he had explained all these things to them, he sent to them to Joppa. Now he sent to Peter. He sent for Peter. Then it says, the next day, as they went on their journey and drew near the city, Peter went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. Then he became very hungry and wanted to eat. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance and saw heaven open and an object like a great sheet bound at 4 corners descending to him and let down to the earth. In it were all kinds of 4-footed animals on the earth, wild beasts, creeping things, and birds of the air. And a voice came to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat. But we're going to explain this more in detail, because people seem to think that this means they can eat anything. And it has nothing to do with eating, period.
Right. That's right.
Not as far as eating food. You see what I'm saying?
That is true. That is true.
But Peter saw, not so long, Master. But Peter said, not so, Master, For I have never eaten anything common or unclean. And a voice spoke to him again the second time. What Elohim has cleaned, you must not call common. This was done 3 times, and the object was taken up into heaven again. Now, what this was talking about was, remember, Israel stayed to themselves at this particular time.
Right.
This was when Israel was being sent out.
Right.
Because before then, if you wanted to know about Elohim, you had to come to Israel.
That's right. If you didn't come,
If you didn't come, you didn't know. Now Israel has been sent out. Why? Because the Messiah has been and gone.
Right. Commanded and demanded to go
Right.
out.
That you go out.
That you go
and
out.
perform the job
Right.
that you were set up to do in the first place.
There you go. That's it. That's it, Elder.
Yes, it is.
That's it. That sure is it.
And we're going to pick this up further. But this was just to show you that the protocol is still in effect at this particular time.
Still in effect.
Even after the Messiah had been and gone.
That's right. Exactly.
It did not change.
It did not change, and it's not going to change.
No, it's not.
Absolutely. That's right.
Yeah, so, I mean, protocol, this is a very good lesson, very good show. You know, teaching the people how this thing is put into order and how it's supposed to unfold.
Exactly.
You know, because Yah is an L of order.
Right.
Because if he wasn't...
Always been order.
Right, because if he wasn't, the seasons wouldn't change on time.
That's right.
The sun wouldn't come up. The moon wouldn't come out where you could see it.
That's right.
The stars and all its ordinances of the heavens would not function in a proper place.
Right.
That's all protocol.
Yes,
Exactly.
it is.
And that's very important. You said that because we're going to touch on that when you said about the ordinances and things like that that show you that still holds true today, and Israel is still a nation before the Father, whether we're scattered or no.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely.
Right,
That's
because
absolutely correct.
there's something, because in the second segment was we run out of time. And for the most part, we're just wrapping up this first segment on protocol. In the second segment, we're going to go in some places and show the origins and the humble beginnings of the different departments, so to speak, regarding Israel, the gentile, or the different, you know, sections of the people that are being used to promote Yah's agenda.